So, hello everyone. My name is Pritam Paul, and welcome to third video of the playlist "How to Prepare Yourself for Software Companies." So, in the previous video, we have talked about how to reach out to the companies. If you didn't watch that video, it's in the I button. Press the I button and go to that video. And after that, we recommend to watch this one because every video would be related to each other. So, and another one is if you are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button also. So, because it's a playlist, long playlist, and we would be uploading many more videos about this topic, that how to prepare for software companies. There are many factors and we will try to cover all the things. So if you want to know about all these things, then please hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon so that every video could be reached you through notification. Okay, so in this video, in the third video, we will talk about skills, that what are the skills you need to apply, means what are the things you have exactly you should have at least in yourself, so that you could be so much confident to apply and to get a good job in corporate world. Okay, so to discuss about this thing, we have the same guests as like as the previous video also. They are Arunabha, Udayan, Arpan and Shuvraj. So obviously they will talk about that, and do watch this video till the end, and we will try to cover technical and non-technical skills, especially technical, because there are many things to be discussed. So the first thing is coding, which is very important. This is the main thing they will look into it, obviously. So let's start by Shubharaj.
Yes, to start off in the coding region, one thing that you should have is a good stronghold of any of the languages. So, for example, you start off with C, and with C, you start off with learning the basic syntaxes and how actually you can convert your ideas and logic into code. Once you're done with that, you can pick up any other like next level language like C++, which is basically C with classes, right? So once you're done with that, maybe you can learn the OOPs and how to actually implement stuff like extraction, how to convert it into your coding design patterns. So that's the basic thing. So you should always have that idea that you should have a stronghold on any of the languages. If you have that, you can go ahead and learn any other language you need. It's only a matter of syntax. So that's the best place to start at. So once you have covered with the basics of all this basic syntaxes and all the different OOP concepts you can start with, you can move ahead and jump into the different library support that you have in this languages. Like in C++, you have STL, in Java, you have collection frameworks, stuff like that. So this would basically help you while you do your competitive programming and stuff like that. Or when you basically sit in interviews, that is the first round that you get it. You have to code and in different DSNL. So for that rounds, you don't have to actually go back and design this whole DS from the scratch, because that would take up a lot of your time. So for that, you have library support in different languages. So once you get familiarized with this stuff, it's always easier for you to devise your own algos and to build this own data structures that would help you with these problems. So that is one thing. So once you're done with that, I would also recommend that you build up your own DS and algos, like the things that you study, like trees, arrays, tries, hash maps, whatever. You need to try and build up from scratch so that you have an idea of how actually these things are implemented in this library. So you get an idea of how you need to tweak them in case you need to. So that is the basic.
Something you must realize is coding is just not about taking an input A and converting into an input B. If you're especially if you're applying for a job, something the interviewers will like to see is clean code. How you're structuring your code. Are the functions doing just one thing, or are you putting multiple things within the same function? Are you separating your API calls in a different function? Are you modularizing it? How are you building interfaces? All of those combined come together to something low in a clean code. Clean code is very important because usually in an organization, you won't be the only one working on your code, and your code needs to be intuitive. If a function is called calculate calculate heart rate, then it should calculate the heart rate. In there should not be any function that is sending the heart rate or fetching the heart rate. These are usually paradigm associated with OOPs, where each function is supposed to do one thing, and it usually is a very good practice to follow those examples in real life in your coding practice, showing your interviewers examples of clean code in the interview itself when you are coding an algorithm or for the test, or giving on in your resume highlighting some repos of projects where you have used clean code could go a long way to giving the interviewer in confidence to hire you. But that's just my 2 cents.
Okay. So after the coding part, let's talk about frameworks. What are the main frameworks which have been used in various companies? And to talk about that part, I would like to request Arunava, please explain it to us.
Sure, sure. Okay, so till now we have discussed that one needs to get the basics right of coding. So, for example, the data structures and algorithms, the implementations, then getting good in some particular language, and also, like Arpan mentioned, regarding the clean code paradigm. So now the thing is, such things are okay, but when are you trying to go for a specific company? For example, tomorrow you want to apply for a particular role in some specific company A XYZ. Now that company might be a startup first of all, and also that company might be working on some particular tech stack. Now for a startup level company, what they would prefer is someone who has relevant experience, so that once you join the company, then it will be easier for them to train you because they won't have to devote their whole time on training you from the scratch. So the more you know about the tech stack that they are using, the more easier it is for you. So for in some cases it is just an advantage, and in some cases it might be an exact requirement. So for example, the job itself can say that okay, the only those candidates who are experienced in this particular tech stack, they can only apply. Now startups, they, yeah, indeed they also work on languages, but what they prefer, or not only startups I should say, companies in general, they prefer frameworks. For example, say we have Ruby on Rails framework, which is based on the Ruby language. Then we know JavaScript is a very versatile language for scripting, and it is used in web browsers as well. But we also know that there are several UI frameworks based on JavaScript like React.js, and there is Vue.js, there is AngularJS. So the thing is that, say there is a company and they are working on AngularJS. Now, if you know JavaScript, it is always a plus point that okay, you will be able to do the job there. But if you know React as well, then it will be much beneficial because this is exactly what they are working on. So, but the thing why frameworks are important because they are a rule set. So, if you know React, that means you know what are the different components, what are the life cycles, what is the whole application, what are the start and end points. So, once you know about such things, when you are actually working on a product on that company, their code base also will sort of look like the same. So you'll already know which file is doing what. So this is a very essential, and so in particular cases, it can be the exact requirement that the company needs. So I would suggest that when you are developing a personal project, so for example, you are developing your own website, you should try to at least learn the basics of one or two frameworks, and then if you are applying for a job, then you can look out for jobs which are actually working on that framework because it will actually increase the chance of you getting selected. Yeah, that's for all.
Thank you so much, Arunava. Now let's talk about the CS subjects. That exactly what are the main subjects and topics they always look for. So to talk about that, I would like to request Udayan, please.
Yeah, so hi everyone. So I'll be talking about the basic CS subjects that basically companies look for when hiring a candidate. So yeah, so why are the CS subjects needed? So the CS subjects show that basically they are hiring engineers there, BTech engineers or higher qualified ones. So they want to see whatever they were teaching you in the course that you had opted for, you have learned that completely. That is kind of a sign that whatever they are going to teach you in the job, you can do that work also. You have that learning skill set in you, you want to learn, you want to do well. So that is basically a good sign. So the subjects that they basically look for, firstly would be data structures. So the basic data structures would be like stacks, queues, linked list, maps, trees, graphs, the basic ones. More advanced ones like tries, and then like you can move on to AVL trees, segment trees and all. Those are good to know, but the basic ones are essential. They might ask you various problems based on those basic data structures. So like it's essential that you know how they work, how they can be implemented and used on various problems. Like in which real life scenario can you use a stack, where you can use a queue, where it would be good to use a map rather than just an array for say. So yeah, all those scenarios. So moving on, the second subject would be algorithms. So algorithms are basically how are ways you can solve a problem, a step of rules. So for example, how you can sort a string. So the different sorting algorithms, then there will be different algorithmic approaches like greedy approach, dynamic programming, and then there will be divide and conquer. So yeah, so these different types of algorithms, they might ask you to solve a problem based on a given algorithmic paradigm. So they might say okay, how you can solve this with divide and conquer, how you can solve it, let's say with some other approach. So yeah, those all are necessary. And basically, more than that, the analysis of algorithms, that is also part of the subject, is also very much necessary. So when you code up a problem, the interviewer might ask you, tell me what's the time complexity, tell me what's the space complexity of the solution that you have proposed. So then you should be able to at that moment give the time complexity of space complexity of the solution, and tell why your solution is better in that case. Time complexity and space complexity is usually a very accurate metric of showing why your solution is better. There might be some places where there might be other parameters to judge your solution. So then you have to give the real life examples to why this might be better for that particular scenario compared to what the time complexity might say. But that's usually not the case for at least a beginner. So that's a very good thing to have. Moving on, the next subject we can look into is database management systems. So most companies nowadays are web-based companies, right? So database management systems is a subject basically the companies are looking for. So you should know how we query the database, what are the asset properties, for example, then what are the different types of keys, and how relational database systems are structured, what are the non-relational database systems. So the various aspects of database management systems, right? So adding to that, you might also look into how the database management systems are distributed, like in a distributed system where the database might be shared upon various different servers, for example. So all those kind of concepts they might ask for. And yeah, the next subject we might be looking at is operating systems. So operating systems, though most companies might not actually work on the operating system per se, but they want to know if you know the concepts very well. For example, what are processes, what are threads, then they might ask you about deadlocks. That's a very important concept to know. So all those these concepts, they are basically ways for the interviewer to know if you can solve a given problem, like deadlock handling, right? So it shows it shows the interviewer that you know how critical section problems can be solved, how threading, what is the use for threading, and all those various concepts. It shows the aptitude of the candidate. Moving on, the final subject basically I would say that interviewers look for are computer networks. So from computer networks, mainly what they might ask you is about TCP, UDP concepts, the different layers of OSI model, and say the newer TCP IP architecture. And going to the next part, they might ask you about how say a signal given data packet actually reaches to the to the receiver from the sender. Other topics they might ask you about are basically what happens when you type a address on the browser. So then you need to tell what is basically the steps that the browser will go through when it tries to fetch in a given website onto your browser when it populates that. So things like this, when you are trying to play a video, what goes on in the backend. So like UDP, then UDP comes into the pictures, like all those different scenarios, right? They might give you a real life scenario. What happens when you open a browser? What happens when you're playing a video? So those, what happens if the connection goes off in the middle? How do you handle that case? All those different things. You should be able to tell that to the interviewer. And if you basically have a grasp of the basics, right? So that is like a very big plus point. If you have the grasp of the basics, it tells the interviewer whatever language they are looking for, whatever coding practices they are looking for, this guy has the aptitude to learn all those things. Because you have done so in your college, you can do it right now. So like it's a very big plus, and I would advise every aspiring candidate to really give a very good thought into their basics knowledge.
Thank you so much, Udayan. It was really nice suggestions, I guess. Very informative. So moving on, let's talk about system design skills and other non-technical stuffs which you would be needed to crack the interview. So to the emphasis on that domain, I would like to request Arpan to talk about all these things. Yeah.
So, first of all, system design skills. Usually in an interview, as a fresher, you are very less likely to being asked, "Hey, design a parking lot system," or design a very familiar app like Facebook or something like that. But as you progress in your career, those questions become more and more likely because as you go up in the skill hierarchy, as you become software developer 2, senior software developer, one of the biggest challenges you would face as a developer is to design a system and make sure it works. Coding only takes you so far. Coding individual programs is uh, usually something junior developers spend most of their time on. But as you become more and more senior, you have to design the system as a whole, how they interact, how whether they interact through queues in the middle or API calls, etc., etc. So these kind of questions would come very much if you are hiring for a position that requires 2 to 3 years of experience and increase as the years of experience also increase. Now, talking about uh, non-technical skill, some of the few things that come to mind easily is how good is your vocabulary, how well do you communicate, how confident are you in your answer, how willing are you to accept that, hey, maybe my answer is not the perfect one, maybe I don't know, and those kind of things matter a lot. Ultimately, an interview is a process where the interviewer is trying to see if you are a fit for the company, and you are trying to see whether you are fit for this company is a fit for you. So for the interviewer, the more willing and able to you are to communicate what you are what you want from the company and how you are reaching your answers, uh, the more likely he is to realize, okay, this person is skilled enough and has the tenacity or any like non-technical requirements they might have, like willingness to learn, etc., that I can give this guy a chance in my company. So confidence, ability to speak, communicate, being honest in your interviews, those things and come up and become a big part of what the interviewer looks for, other than answering the technical stuff. One major tip I have from all of my interviews I have taken is always make sure you're communicating continuously with your interviewer, how you're approaching the solution. So if they ask, hey, reverse a linked list, you will say, okay, so linked list is basically a structure with a pointer to the next structure, and the last one has an end there. So if I have to reverse it, I will do this, 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 and this. And communicating like that, make sure he understands your thought process instead of just saying, okay, this is the function, this is how I'll write it. Because at that time, he doesn't know whether he came up with that answer, you learned it, or you just Googled it on your second monitor or whatever. So due to those things, communications becomes a big part of interviews, especially in the COVID times where we don't see you face to face. We are going through a screen and we do not know what else is going on. You can have any number of things. You can have solution books open with you. So as such, being able to communicate openly, honestly, and to the point is a big skill when it comes to interviews.
So, is there any other recommendations for our viewers, guys? Would you like to recommend anything else?
Cracking the Tech Career would be a great resource. Most of everything we talked about is mentioned there. It's one of my favorite books when it comes to preparing for interviews.
Okay, so you should always be interviewing. So never be afraid. Don't think that you are underqualified for a role. If you think that this is something that interests you, that falls under your domain, so just apply. Reach out to the recruiters. They will help you. They'll guide you. Reach out to your seniors. They also can basically tell you which skills are necessary, and basically start giving interviews. You will know the places that you lack and where you need to interview.
Also, I want to mention that I don't know personally how much it will be useful, but you can try out seeking the previous questions that were asked by the interviewers from the particular company. So, for example, there is Geeks for Geeks where you can find out the interview experiences. So, if you are say going for a company and then you brush up the last few questions which were asked, and the way they ask those questions, how are the rounds, and all this stuff that you can get from such websites. I think that can be a little beneficial in your overall preparation.
To end off, I would like to add some resources like the go-to book you have, like Cracking the Coding Interview. This is a very good resource you can start on and read about many topics and including system design as well. So that is a good part to go to. And apart from that, you have different websites like InterviewBit, etc., where you can go ahead and dive into different problems and get your practice right up.
Okay. So last but not the least, let's talk about aptitude and reasoning, which is not at that much important if you are applying for startups or big MNCs with having lots of experiences. But if you are a fresher, then this is one of the most important thing you should focus on, because as being a fresher, if you are applying any company in on campus or any service based companies like Infosys, TCS, and there are etc. So there are many companies, so they will definitely look into your aptitude and reasoning solving skills. So I would recommend one thing that obviously to practice about all these things, there are various sites, like one of them, India Bix, is one of my most favorite. But if you talk about resource that from where you should learn them, then one thing I would say that try to follow few banking preparation YouTube channels, because there I personally have seen solving techniques are much more easier, and the technique will give you a shorter solution, so that you could easily with less time you could solve those problems, so that you could have an excellent result in the aptitude test. So I guess in this way you could prepare, but means that is not the most important thing, but as a fresher this is one of the most important things. So at the first round, aptitude would be there. So if you do not clear that round, you couldn't be able to go for the other coding rounds or the interviews and so on. Okay, so if you are a fresher, if you are a college student, if you are preparing for your campusing mainly, then prepare for aptitude properly, because this will help you. Okay, so this is the ending part. We are ending here right now, and okay, so in the if you really like this video, so please do hit the like button and let me know through comment below if you have any kind of doubt regarding any issue. Okay, and in the upcoming videos we would try to cover that few topics, like how to build a good profile, like internships, how you should approach them, why they are important, and so on, and competitive coding, that that practice platforms and resource links, like few YouTube channels, few websites also we would recommend obviously, and which language you should prefer, or what are the main things like competitive coding and software development, what they are actually, how they different means, how could you differentiate, and how you focus on those things also, like projects, GSOCs, then open source contribution also. There are many more videos will be coming soon, guys. So if you really want to know about them, if you want them to guide you to, if you want to learn from them also, like from Orunabha, Parpan, Udayan, and Shuvraj also, so please press the subscribe button and press the bell icon, so that when those videos will be uploaded, you would be notified through your mobile notification. And this is the ending part, guys. This much for today. See you on the next video.